Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Public Pictures Theater. My name is Patricia Pinson, and tonight we'll be watching the film Misbehaving Husbands from 1940. Join us for this comedy of errors film as we follow the exploits of married couple Henry and Effie Butler and how their whole marriage gets turned upside down because of all the fuss over one little shoe. Originally titled At Your Age, the film was shot in 15 days when it was later named Dummy Husbands. The title Misbehaving Husbands was finally settled on for public release, though no explanation exists why the name was changed so often. This film is the debut of actor Byron Barr, who plays Flor Walker. He would later be known as Gig Young for his role in the film The Gay Sisters and continue doing work in the film and television industry. Some of his more notable roles include Martin Sloan in Walking Distance on the Twilight Zone and as Academy Awards Best Supporting Actor Rocky and They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Like all films aired on Public Pictures Theater, Misbehaving Husbands is a part of the public domain. Failure to renew the copyright license for the film resulted in second- and third-hand recordings being sold to the public. Without further ado, here is Misbehaving Husbands on Public Pictures Theater. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Public Pictures Theater. My name is Patricia Pinson, and I have here with me a panel of fellow interns for us to talk about the film Misbehaving Husbands. So I figured we could get this started with a couple of discussion questions. So right off the bat, what were some of your guys' thoughts on the film?
Actually, I really enjoyed it. I love the whole goofy kind of slapstick humor it has, right? Like it's a situation that you could only find in an old movie because it's not quite too realistic and it's not quite unrealistic. It's that goofy in between level of comedy that I think just actually played kind of well.
Well, I also like how it talks about the issue of divorce, which wasn't like a common thing for this time. So it's really unique that it's talking about divorce and it's using it as like a normal thing when it obviously wasn't normal.
Yeah, I thought that was also kind of an interesting take on it and just almost a casual attitude towards divorce and the encouragement of, telling Effie to divorce her husband because of the whole situation. So, being that we're a pretty and actually even gendered panel, I'm curious to get some of the thoughts on the characters. So, particularly for the gentlemen, what do you think you guys would do if you found yourself in Henry's situation in the film?
It really could not have been that hard to just flat out say what was going on, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, we're communications majors, but come on, just going, oh, I'm so sorry, honey. It was a mannequin. That could have saved the whole movie. I don't know.
I also think that he could have just went through with it and just got out of his marriage if his wife was that untrusting of him that a mannequin broke up their marriage of, what was it, 15 or 20 years?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there that, having a mannequin be the reason that your whole marriage breaks, it's a little silly. So I'm curious as to what you guys would think you would have felt or done if you were in Effie's position.
Um, I would have looked at the shoe. I mean, it was a mannequin, so wasn't the shoe like not a real shoe? I don't know. Like, I don't think there would be real shoes on a mannequin. That's just like from what I've seen. I don't know if it was different back in 1940, but I don't know. Like, if you just looked at the shoe closely, you would have seen that it wasn't like a person's, a human's shoe.
Well, for one, I would have been frustrated, but for I would have wanted more information than just a heel, some hair. But for the time, I guess it probably would have been plenty.
Yeah, and I mean, going off of that a little bit, I would have thought that you would have also checked the size of the shoe, much like they did in the latter half of the movie, where the guy had come to the woman's apartment and said, well, where's the missing shoe? And she grabbed a shoe that was the wrong color completely. So I would have just thought that right away you would have thought to say, oh, well, I'm missing a shoe. Can you get it for me? Can you put it on my foot?
Yeah, plus flat out, just I don't know. I would be so curious why he brought home one shoe. Where why did he bring home one shoe? Why did he bring home any shoes? I mean, he obviously became aware when he got home, oh, it's in my pocket, and he tried to hide it. But one, I don't know, how do you not notice the shoe beforehand? And two, ask him where it came from, ask him what it's doing there. But instead it was just, no, I'm going in my room and that's it.
Also, when your husband is a person that works with models and with clothing and shoes, I would expect him to accidentally bring home something at some point. And it would be not that suspicious.
I just thought it was just so obvious. He works with fashion and mannequins, so I mean that thought would have come to his wife's mind, or his wife's friend that looked in the window. I mean, she knows it's a display window. Like, I don't. And then also, I'm just really curious to know if they used the word, like, historically, if they used the word mannequin back then, because it seemed like I don't know if it was just the misunderstanding was that he never said mannequin and he said models, but I don't know if they didn't call them mannequins back then, they called them models, and that's where the confusion came from.
Well, in the movie, he acted like he didn't know what the word mannequin was, so I suspect that doll or model was the two options, and he was bouncing between the two. And they also refer to women as dolls and models at that time, so it kind of works.
Definitely one of the, adds to the level of confusion. Even when he's in the police station, he's not saying, oh, it was the mannequins. He's saying, oh, well, he tries to dance around saying mannequin, or I don't even know another word you could use to display model, or something like that. Even he doesn't even use any words like that. He just still tries to dance around the fact that it wasn't a real person.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think another option, like doll, model, and then I think they also used the term wax figure, but that was never brought up until they actually went down to the place that he left her and realized it wasn't a real person. So I'm like, how stupid is this guy? Can't he just say, he never said wax figure when they were interrogating him? And even if, like, he couldn't think of that, he didn't even try to say it's, like, not a real person. Just say it's not a real person.
So, Leah, you mentioned before some of the suspicion that Effie's friend had because she saw Henry through the window. So I want to get the group's thoughts on what do you think about how her friend handled the situation and the fact that her husband had told her to keep it a secret. Do you think she should have kept it secret from Effie?
I don't know how I feel about it, because for one, she's kind of making a giant leap of faith in hope that it is him having an affair, and keeping it just to herself would have kind of prevented the whole issue. And I feel like hiding it kind of blows up the problem into a larger issue.
I think it's a tough one because of course the answer is never, oh well, hush, keep it a secret. But there's probably definitely a time and place to do it. I don't know if telling them right before the anniversary dinner. I don't know if like maybe you should wait till after and like approach casually, but she starts telling everybody at the dinner. So everybody there but her, but Effie knows. And that's definitely the wrong way to do it. That's definitely the wrong way to let people figure it out.
Absolutely. I mean, just even listening to it going through the grapevine, just that I think would make it even more upsetting to find out as well.
Yeah, I think, of course, you should tell your friend so they know what's going on. But I think it was more of just a gossip thing. She just wanted gossip to spread. So that was obviously not right, the way she went about it.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that if we had found ourselves in that position, we probably would have told Effie what was going on. Yeah, I think so too. Personally, I was very interested in the in the hush of her husband, telling her absolutely don't mention that to her. I just disagree with that personally. I think as a friend, you should be stepping forward and being honest with your friend if you suspect that something is going on. Okay. So the film used its comedy of errors as the main form of humor for most of the film. Was that something that you guys liked? Do you think it worked for the film?
So I think it worked for the film. It was very much like a relief comedy, which it all kind of went against the norms. Just the premise of the whole movie in general was against the norms, which was a good start. And I think it pretty much followed a comedic structure, which helped it along its way.
Yeah, I think comedy was definitely different then. So, I'm only judging it based on how I view comedy today, and it's definitely changed. Um, it's a lot more fast paced now. So watching this movie now, it seems very slow because we didn't have short attention spans then. We had longer attention spans, and the shots are longer. Everything is longer. So there's like less jokes because it takes longer to build up to each joke. At times I kind of forgot it was a comedy. And then something funny would happen and I'd be like, oh, haha. But yeah, I mean, I think they accomplished what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's not my favorite type of comedy. I definitely think that this is the way to go for old movies. I mean, it you see it in almost every old movie. It is like this the slower built humor, the little gags, the goofs that make you laugh. Because I think their main goal is to like tell the story, and it's like, all right, well, we can also make it funny. But I definitely agree. It's not my favorite, but I think it definitely fits in the movie. And I mean, I can't really imagine the movie without it. So works for me.
Yeah, for me personally, I was reminded a lot of Jim Carrey's style of humor. And funny enough, I watched the movie with my mom, who's not the biggest Jim Carrey fan, and she enjoyed it as much as I did. And so I don't know, I personally thought it added a lot, especially to some of the tension that was building as a viewer, being able to see where the miscommunication was happening and just kind of almost then sitting there in a frustrated laughter of, come on, just come out and say what you're trying to say. With that being said, do you guys think that Henry and Effie make a good couple together, or should they have ultimately stayed divorced? And why do you think what you do?
I definitely do think there was a level of trust there that maybe started to not exist. I think some of that could be, I mean, due to maybe changing times. I mean, we see throughout history that in the 20s up to what maybe 80s, divorce is not so common. But a lot of her friends, well, I guess mainly her one friend, is kind of pushing for it almost. So it seems that maybe she actually did want one, but in the end, it seems, oh, okay, no, it was just a trust thing. But again, trust is a huge red flag. If you don't trust who you're with, then you can't really. I don't know. I don't really think that's a good situation or a good couple.
I was gonna say I didn't really see a lot of chemistry between them. I don't know. I don't know if that was just me, but I didn't feel like they had good chemistry.
It comes back to the point that I brought up earlier, where if a mannequin can throw off your entire marriage, I don't know if you should, in fact, be together.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Trust is a very big part of a relationship. And to me, if you can't trust your significant other when they tell you it was just a mannequin, I, you know, much as I found myself cheering for them to get back together, as some of the other characters were, in hindsight, I think, yeah, they probably would have been better off at least taking a break, if not staying divorced. With that being said, if this movie were to be remade this year, do you guys think it would be how do you think it would be? Who are some of the people you think you might see acting in it?
I think there's actually kind of a lot you could maybe do with remaking this. You could do a lot more goofy things, like, the guy, the lawyer, is a con man. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's kind of like a con man. So maybe you have him and his significant other creating like fake profiles to follow people and stuff like that. Maybe you got somebody taking a picture of, and this picture is like maybe really blurry, and you see just carrying the mannequin, and it's, I think there's a lot you could do to maybe modernize or remake it. I think maybe some of the themes, maybe you have to kind of play with them. The whole idea that there's not really a lot of trust, or I don't know, maybe divorce would fit better now, because if anything, divorce rates have gone up, but I think it could transfer well.
I think it would be actually kind of easy to modernize it, because it was talking about like modern activities, and nothing's really changed in those modern activities since then. So it could be pretty easy to bring it over to 2020, 2021 sort of area.
Yeah, one thing I thought was particularly interesting that I thought about was how different would this story have been with modern technology. So like if we had phones, it would have just been a lot easier to call Henry and ask him, "Where are you?" But then thinking, well, maybe his phone is dead. And just how those comedy of errors could translate into a different fashion, and how we have cameras so we could have eyes almost everywhere, and it could be a little bit easier to set the record straight, but at the same time perhaps more incriminating.
Yeah, I just remembered they did have, like, they had house phones, telephones. So I think it's weird that she never called his office, because I'm sure there was a phone in his office. She could have called his office when he was late, but I don't think she ever did. So that's an interesting thing to note.
I wanted to add, I thought it's funny that apparently I don't quite remember, but yeah, I'm going to assume and trust you that she doesn't call, but she even sends somebody to go check on him before they even call. I don't know. I feel like there's a couple of steps before that, and especially in 2020, there'd probably be a couple of steps. All right, let me text you, let me Snapchat you, let me Facebook you, there'd be so many more steps in modern times. But I guess all of those you could explain in a way, oh, he's not answering because his phone's dead. But I thought that was pretty funny.
I like how the person she sends, the first assumption is he's carrying a dead body, not he's carrying around a mannequin. I don't know if that would go in today's times, though.
Just with the realism again, I felt like it was pretty obvious to tell that she was a mannequin, even from the distance away from her, that a lot of the people were when they thought she was a real person. Like even her in the backseat of the car, looking at her through the window, I feel like she still looked plastic. So yeah, I don't feel like that was realistic, but I don't know.
Yeah, another thing I thought about too was getting the police report and just having that police report confirm that it was a mannequin, and yet his wife wouldn't believe him, and he wasn't even the only one at the station when he testified to that. There was somebody else there who could have at least backed him up. The police could have backed him up, and yet it just all went downhill, all over a silly little shoe. With that, I think that brings us to about time. So thank you everyone for joining us here tonight on Public Pictures Theater. I hope that you enjoyed watching Misbehaving Husbands, and we will see you on our next show.